You rely on your business applications to track financials, run operations, serve your customers, and serve a productive workforce. But if you run your business using applications from different providers, you've likely ended up with a collection of disconnected systems and siloed data, making it harder and more expensive to run your business, while slowing adoption of new technology such as AI. Oracle Fusion Cloud Applications can help. The Fusion Suite offers function-rich, connected applications that deliver predictive analytics and built-in KPIs for your entire business. From ERP to supply chain and manufacturing, human capital management, customer experience, and enterprise performance management. These applications simplify running your business, make employees more productive, and improve your customer engagements. Applications are built on a single data model and share a common workflow engine and user interface. Furthermore, because Fusion applications run on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, you'll enjoy great performance at a scale with a 99.9% SaaS service level availability commitment, as well as the fastest delivery of innovations such as AI. You'll also appreciate Oracle's world-class data security. With trusted data from across the entire business, AI features in Fusion applications help successfully execute frequent, repetitive tasks, deliver precise, context-driven insights and recommended actions, and assist with content creation. The AI features in Fusion applications are easy to activate and use, since they are built into existing business processes. Managers and employees retain full control, with the ability to review, approve, and adjust AI-generated content, suggestions, and actions as needed. AI embedded within existing workflows helps drive productivity breakthroughs and unlocks new ways of working and doing business. Oracle Fusion Cloud Applications offers a complete suite, but can be adopted in modular fashion. Choose your own implementation plan based on your own business needs. When you have the right tools, your business simply runs better. To learn more about Oracle Fusion Cloud Application Suite and its broad set of applications, visit oracle.com/applications.
Thanks for joining. There are so many key takeaways: single data model, predictive analytics, and of course, our embedded AI. But I also like some of the other callouts, like Oracle offers a complete suite, but you can adopt it in a modular fashion according to your business needs. Now, this makes change easier. After seeing that video, I hope you're saying, this is great, I want to know more, because the good news is, today, our goal is to give you more. Thank you for joining this session titled Discover Oracle's Cloud Application, Driving Business Efficiency and Innovation. This is a kickoff to our new multi-part D1 and Beyond series for Oracle applications. So let me introduce myself. I'm Keith Peterson, and along with me is my co-host, Carl Reyes. We will guide you through the Oracle Fusion Suite, the platform behind it, and more importantly, how it helps you navigate the pace of change in your businesses. By design, the Oracle Fusion Suite provides not only an interconnected system as highlighted in the video, a unified platform, but it enables better business agility. But again, you can adopt it in a modular fashion according to your business needs. Think of this as your first move to Fusion, any application in the suite, and this is the domino decision. This is just by starting with that one strategic implementation in the suite, you'll be able to position naturally and more easily to move to additional connected applications in the suite to unlock further transformation. It's awesome. But you know what? Why don't we set some goals for today? Before we dig too deep, let's anchor ourselves in 3 goals. Goal number 1, let's help you get familiar with the Oracle Fusion Application Suite. This is a great first goal. We hope to hear you say, I love what I've heard, but I want to know more. This suite has so much to offer. I am sure we're not going to cover it all, but there's definitely ways to give you more access to other applications, and we'll talk about that at the end. It does run everything from finance to human capital management, supply chain, sales, and service, and we're going to touch on these, but they run it across many different industries, across geographies. I mean, basically it's across the alphabet of everything you would think. Doing this justice in under an hour is a fun challenge. We have goal number 2. Make sure this session is valuable for you. We design these series to help you get more out of what you already own or what you're considering. And then goal 3, let's have some fun and stay engaged. I think I said, let's get engaged. So why don't we get you engaged right away? So let's take a look at these forces. And what we're looking at here is a graph that highlights the widening gap between the ability to respond with today's platform and the pace of change. Now, for years, these two lines really moved roughly at the same speed. There was a gap there, but then in 2021, something happened. AI exploded, and suddenly many legacy systems just couldn't keep up. This matters because everything we talk about today, Fusion, the suite, the platform, is ultimately about closing this gap, bringing your ability to adapt back in sync with the pace of change. So what's getting in the way? What are some of those things that get in the way of that pace of change? What keeps this gap there? And oftentimes we see it's processes don't connect. It's teams that don't have the same data. It's infrastructure that wasn't built for AI. It's the overwhelming amount of data. It's not that people don't want to move faster. It's the tools weren't designed in a world that they're now living in. That's why successful transformation journeys, don't start with 1,000 decisions. They really start with one. This, what we'll call a domino decision that allows everything else to more easily fall in place. So in this case, we see that what we're doing is we're going to take that pace of change and easily evolve it into the Oracle Fusion application suite. How does this help people move with the pace of change? Now, in the teaser video at the very beginning, as I said, it captured it beautifully. The Fusion is the system that it plans your business, it runs your business, and it reports on your business, and it helps your business continuously evolve. Now, this summarizes it in the large major areas, and we can see that across the top. And for the acronyms, it's human capital management, customer experience, supply chain, enterprise resource management, and enterprise performance management. But as we look down into each one of those, we start seeing some very key applications and solutions that exist under each of these categories. But one of the things I'd like to highlight is the power just isn't in those core applications and those sub areas underneath it. It also is part of the suite being the connections between them. Those are really critical.
So you're saying that the real power of these applications isn't in the boxes within the bullets, which I think is very powerful, by the way, but the connections that are created between them. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, Carl, yeah, that's a good highlight. So think about it. So many companies on this call have purchased one application to solve a specific problem, and maybe for a while that application worked fine. But things change, the business evolves, links break, data's duplicated again and again. And ultimately, these sub-solutions, they lose speed, they lose agility. So if you look at this as a suite with the Oracle Application Suite, we deliver all of this functionality, everything in these boxes, but the connectivity between them, you'll always have. It's always common data. It's not fewer handoffs. There are no handoffs. There are no reconciliations. Basically, there are fewer mysteries between the data and the alignment of these applications. And what does that ultimately mean? Well, it means more alignment and it means more speed. And that's, frankly, what many of the businesses are looking for. How do they keep up with that pace of change we talked about earlier? Does that make sense?
It does. And I think like a few fun facts about our suite of applications is that each one of these, for those of you that are new to Oracle apps, they're sold separately. And each pillar includes all the functionality listed on each of the columns. However, a customer may decide to just install and configure and use only one function. So, for example, if you look at the far right where you have EPM, you may decide to just buy EPM to run account reconciliation, but you still own planning, forecasting, consolidations, and so on and so forth. And you may decide to configure those later or not. Another fun fact is that each application interacts seamlessly with other business applications. So, for example, you may be running Oracle ERP Finance with Workday HR and Salesforce for customer experience. And the best part is how advanced and built-in our AI features are in our apps, which you saw in the video at the very beginning. There are over 200 AI agents right now. We're not going to cover AI and the agents in this training. That's going to come in a separate module, but it's worth mentioning here since every literature that we have out there right now, it's calling them out.
Yeah. And I appreciate you calling that out because they are so critical because every one of these processes and those AI agents, an agent might span across these applications like you highlighted, the area of connectivity between them. And I do like the way that you've highlighted the ability to start in any area. And it's okay that you have another solution. How do you continue to build on the connective tissue within this application? And I think that's a great call out. In order to do this, let's bring this to life. Let's take that framework that we showed and let's walk through it and let's do it with a company. So Supremo Fitness is a mid-sized business. They manufacture treadmills, ellipticals, stationary bikes for gyms. And they do this in the US market right now. And they're exploring new ways to grow. And the good news is that everybody on this call has already voted on it. They've been live on Oracle Fusion Suite for past couple of years, and like many firms, they're navigating the decision-making challenges. They face a choice, and that choice you voted on was to expand internationally or to launch a direct consumer program. Which one would Supremo Fitness like to do as a mid-sized manufacturer of treadmills? Should they expand internationally or launch a direct-to-consumer program? How many of you wanted more information before making that decision? Yeah, the first thing when I wrote that, I was like, the only thing I know is I don't have enough information. Well, welcome to Why Planning Matters. I'm going to introduce enterprise performance management. As I mentioned, Supremo's running the full suite. So before Supremo makes any business decisions, they lean heavily on enterprise performance management, EPM. Now, remember, because they've run it for a couple of years, EPM already knows the history of their sales, their cycle times for manufacturing, their staffing, their margins, all of the data about their day-to-day operations. But because they're evaluating new markets, and you've all voted that you've asked them to go to a direct-to-consumer program, they'll need to layer in external data. And you can do this with EPM. You could put in things like market growth, obviously subscription trends, competitive pricing, health-related issues. You name it, you have the data, you want to layer it in and add it to your enterprise performance management. Now, with all that connected data and all of the external data, Supremo can build model scenarios. They can stress test the assumptions. They can understand the risks. And ultimately, what they'll do is choose the path that delivers the strongest financial performance. Here's what the finance team gets out of it. So let's bring it to the individuals who have to do the day-to-day work. They build a plan that's actually achievable from the ground up. In real constraints like people that exist, suppliers that may or may not have the capacity to meet the demands they have for building consumer throughput. Their manufacturing operations currently can build so many units. Can they serve this new market? They use the best data because it's already unified. They don't have to duplicate it and reduplicate it. They identify risks earlier. So whether that's they're hitting sales targets, supplier delays, they'll be able to put those in and be able to react because they can build that into the plan. So ultimately, what are they driving? They're driving improvements in three major areas: the use of cash, the ability to look at the revenue and grow it faster, and keep the costs down. Together, all of these things come up with improved margins. So if they take EPM and we move it now further into ERP, we get what we talked about earlier, this domino effect. So I've got this plan. Now I need to execute on it. So now let's go back to Supremo. The leadership team has aligned their plan, and just like you voted, they're going to launch a new direct-to-consumer fitness program with equipment and subscriptions. So the first domino is now fallen. And what do I mean by that? Well, they built the plan in EPM. It just doesn't sit there. They activate it to the rest of the business. The final plan, once it's released, it becomes the financial plan, the workforce plan, the operational plan, all of it. It's immediately available. No handoffs, no rekeying. This is where most organizations feel the first shift. That's what a connected suite actually feels like. So, Carl, I know I've moved out of EPM already, but I'm coming into enterprise performance management. And you, in your career, are clearly an expert in enterprise performance management. Is there anything you'd like to highlight on this transition from, EPM into ERP?
Oh, for sure. So the way to think this through is EPM is the suite that sets the direction, and then ERP makes it real. And this connection is one of the reasons Oracle customers move faster with less friction, because you're able to plan and set the direction, and then you have another suite that can actually make it real for you.
Yeah, excellent. That definitely shows how that domino trips into ERP. So here's what happens when the flow at Supremo, when it moves into ERP. So ERP becomes the engine room, just like you said, handling the core functions that keep the company moving. Now, we're using these framework slides, and it's important that I stop because there's a lot on this. Now, remember, Carl, we had that other framework slide that highlighted the highest level, which was supply chain, customer experience, human capital management, ERP, enterprise resource planning, and EPM. This is now looking at that framework just under the ERP umbrella. And these are major categories of this engine room: the financials, the procurement side, the projects, and risk and compliance. These are handling the core functions of this company. Now, for those on the phone, think about these key areas within your business. And remember, what makes this unique is not just these top boxes and all of the capabilities below, but it's the connection that already exists between them. These are designed on a slide, but the reality is this is one single data model across everything we're talking about today. So, Carl, we're going to do these frameworks a couple more times. These are really important. Is there anything else you'd like to highlight to our audience?
Well, with regards to frameworks, what I would say is that they keep, think about it this way, they keep the past, the present, and future connected. You get visibility into what happened, what is happening now, and what's likely to happen next, and while using all the same data, which is very powerful.
That's really simple terms that really say a lot. I mean, you're right. If you think about it, you want to know about what's happened, what's happening now, and what's happening next. So I think there's a good transition into this. What we'll do is let's see this in action. When the Supremo team looks at this, we're going to break it down into those different key areas in which enterprise resource management really helps them out. Now, clearly, there's a lot of expenses in building a new product. When you're building initiatives that you're selling to consumers, consumer price quoting and subscription management are critical aspects, making that engagement so much easier so it's streamlined for the customer. Project management, if you think about it, Supremo is spinning up a mini company inside. Before, they manufactured ellipticals, treadmills, bicycles, and sold them to gyms. Now they're selling to consumers. That's an entirely different world. So project management is really a critical aspect for this. And of course, having a supplier portal, because as we talked about earlier, having a much closer relationship with the suppliers is going to be critical. Now, this is a great example of a company, Supremo, But what I'd like to do is let's roll the video on showing one of existing customers that Oracle has also using this for a service-related business.
I like working for MTN because you can see the difference you make. It is quite phenomenal, the stories that runs through the organization. I mean, this is this one about the fishermen out in Ghana. All of a sudden, the fish population has now stabilized because they can check the market prices and see what will sell the day, instead of bringing in boatloads full of fish and not being able to sell it. We've really expanded in a number of key markets, bringing technology to a lot of places that's been traditionally not part of your economic map. With the rapid growth of the company over 25 to 30 years, we had lots of legacy systems running in all the operations, and there was very limited standardization across the group, and therefore we couldn't really leverage our scale. We had system-based planning and forecasting in some of the larger markets, but we never had a full forecasting and budgeting capability spanning the group. By transitioning to enterprise performance management, the biggest transformation has been linking business with finance. All of a sudden, your what-if analysis and your more advanced capabilities are a lot easier because you've got the right data consistently across the group. What we found is the moment you move to connected planning, you do require a lot more detailed driver-based assumptions and metrics to feed into your financial models. It's been quite simple to adopt. Oracle Analytics can give you the real-time insights. Business partners and operational teams can build their own reports and pull their own analytics to inform their own decision. Machine learning components will continue to grow because it takes away a lot of your manual intervention and your manual data gathering, freeing up a lot of your effort and energy to focus on the creative side of how do you grow the business to move forward.
Well, Carl, thanks for running that video. That MTN is an amazing story. And I think it highlights the connection between enterprise performance management that we just talked about, but it does such a better job. But first and foremost, I don't know if you realize just the magnitude of that company, running 273 million customers across using this application. The sub-stories were some of the better ones, and that was the users could run their own reports, help make the decisions. And they kept tying it back to continuous growth, continuous growth. Again, part of that overlying story that we've been threading through this conversation. So I really like the way that one does. But ultimately it comes down to this, and that is, what were they trying to do? And that's outcomes. So from an ERP perspective, what are the outcomes that they were looking at doing? Well, growing the business and the revenue improvement side. They talked about ability to the cost reductions and be able to both compete but drive profits. And then those other improvements that talked about improving cash flow, working with their suppliers. All of this made sense for both Supremo as well as what we just heard from MTN. So really an excellent tie down on that video. So what I'd like to do is transition now. Carl, by the way, my favorite on these is cash forecasting. I don't know if you have a favorite on that, but anytime you can know where your cash is at every given moment, it's clearly a big benefit for me. Do you have any specifics you like?
Cash forecasting for sure. I mean, especially in this market where there's so much opportunity for divesting, for buying companies, for investing in technologies. Definitely, cash forecasting. It's key.
Yeah, he highlighted one on the predictive capability, and the one story that comes out of this is, and I don't want to spend too much time in the AI, but that predictive capability, the analytics within our AI capabilities, the embedded side, will actually suggest you look at information that it's gathering. So you might have a report, but you don't use a particular KPI. The prediction capabilities now within the system are saying, you might want to look at the trend on this KPI, even though it's not on your dashboard. I mean, these are some technologies, the ability to have this connected platform that just really make the difference in growing a business, getting to profit, and in this case, like you said, getting to better cash. So that's the domino. We talked about it, making the EPM decision and then making the transition easily into ERP. Let's keep moving down that framework, and let's shift to our supply chain management and see how the power of the platform becomes even more valuable. There are so many key capabilities in this framework if you look just under those two lines. I'd like to take a few extra seconds to review. So everybody on this phone call or everybody on this webinar, so if you can all start to think about the departments in your organization and think about some of the solutions or areas of your business where you're having challenges, where these areas under supply chain might help. Product lifecycle management, demand and supply planning, manufacturing, order management, logistics and transportation, warehouse management. Each one of those words is most often a system into itself, but these are all part of that one connected platform. And here's the key to, again, the whole thing. When something changes, a supplier delay, a demand spike. So let's just say that a TikTok video went viral on one of the bicycles that Supremo is selling. Guess what? Everybody sees it automatically. That supplier delay, I know about it across my entire network. A spike in demand because people are wanting to buy more of our bicycles. Guess what? We're going to see that automatically in the system. So now let's take a look at what does it actually mean for Supremo? This slide sums it up. The framework we've reviewed, the capabilities that exist, what does Supremo gain out of it? And it's the same for your business. What you're going to gain with this connected platform is streamlined logistics, optimized inventory, and predictive planning. This is the trifecta of supply chain: streamlined logistics, optimized inventory, and predictive planning. The domino, if it continues to get easier and drive more, as you put this framework into place with the rest, you continue to get more value. But let's take this one and see it in a more complicated environment, and one that's actually a little bit puts a smile on your face.
Ice cream is super perishable. It has to stay frozen every minute from when it leaves the factory, travels across international borders, and gets stored in warehouses along the way. For these types of consumer products, what you need is a responsive system that can literally handle anything, or things can get out of control. Thankfully, with Oracle Cloud Logistics, we help companies take care of this kind of stuff all the time. You can track ice cream inside warehouses, on ships and trucks, and across borders. It's all connected. And if something goes wrong, you're alerted, it can reset and stay on track. Listen, ice cream is messy. It's all about delivering pure joy. I can't think of a better mission than that.
Now, you have to admit, ice cream is a whole lot more complicated at some points than it seems like from a treadmill perspective and an elliptical perspective. Every time I see that video, I always think, when you think you know everything about everybody's supply chain, you learn something new. You get humbled by what companies have to deal with when moving products, whether it's the weight of steel, whether it's the prescriptions of a pharmaceutical drug, whether it's moving ice cream that has a temperature that has to go. These are just definitely all challenges. But now think about the importance of the connected supply chain, knowing where that product is at all times. It helps simplify everything. So when we look at that same thing, we look at how does it simplify Supremo from getting a connected supply chain. And we can look at it in three different buckets. There's financial and operational. There's strategic and relational. And then there's customer focused. So on these different ones, you've got lower production transportation costs. You've got the more resilient supplier, faster response. But they all come back to what we talked about before: streamlined logistics, optimized inventory, and predictive planning. This is again, the trifecta of having that domino effect. So let's go ahead and push the other domino over. We've talked about supply chain. Let's go into another category and let's look at our customer. How do we handle the shift to customer experience? With all that operational excellence behind us, we now look at what do we do with handling our customer. Now, in Supremo, we've seen that they've moved from selling to gyms to moving to sell directly to consumers. And that means that they have to go far beyond taking orders. They have marketing, sales, service, field service, commerce, and subscription management. Each one of these components needs to see a unified customer data. They need to react to the same operational plan. And this is where I can just ask the audience in their own mind, how many times have you made a phone call or talked to one of somebody you have purchased something from, so you are their customer, and they seemingly have no idea who you are, or that you made a call last week, or that you own this product? It's probably one of the more frustrating customer experiences. I'm bringing that home because now you understand that connective piece of information is so critical. But you don't just want to know that you've made a phone call. You want to know where your inventory is. Well, that's not in customer experience. That's in the supply chain. You might want to know a billing question. Well, guess what? That's in ERP. All of this is part of having that connected tissue throughout this application. So, Carl, I'd love to ask the question around consumer experience. What should Supremo Fitness prioritize to improve their customer experience as they scale? So there are 4 options here. They could create a unified 360-degree view of the customer, enhance their service and warranty support. They can improve digital engagement channels, or they can improve their personalized marketing offers. Wow. Well, give me some feedback. What are you thinking on this feedback? Any thoughts on that?
I think personally, they're right. One cannot be prioritized over another because honestly, improving the digital engagement channels, if they don't have something that is digital right now, that they can get me, to participate in promotions, or they can get to me, virtually in some sort of application or push of advertising, I'm not going to see them. There's like a lot of information that is out there that is competing with them. And then the personalized marketing and offers is huge. Like I am a loyal coffee drinker from actually an Oracle customer of ours that we love. And they do give me a lot of marketing offers and birthday perks and things like that. And because of that, I keep my loyalty with them. So I think these are all right on the money.
Yeah, I think so too. It's almost a trick question, because if you think about it, can you buy a customer experience system, a true customer experience system that doesn't connect service with the view of the customer of what they've bought? Or in your case, doesn't personalize marketing and then let the engagement go with the digital engagement, that handoff from marketing to your digital engagement, to the sale, to any communications that have taken place? All of these 3 to improve the customer experience. You could do any one and get a little benefit, but as you connect each one of these, you see this multiplier effect. And that's one of the real value propositions, not only across the suite, but Carl, you brought it up earlier when we talked. You said one of your favorite things about this is people get to solve specific problems at their pace. So if they have a particular area, let's say marketing, they can start with marketing and evolve, but they know the benefit as to whether if they add into sales and service and they'll start getting the bigger and bigger advantage. It's that domino effect. Easier to implement, higher value, higher return. Well, I love this slide. We look at these frameworks, and it shows the connected platform. And each sub bullet on here is a story unto itself. But like the framework slide, these are built on a single data model. If a service agent answers a customer's question in 10 seconds instead of 10 minutes, I would say that's an improved customer experience. If marketing, like we talked about, sends the right offer, that's an improved customer experience. As Supremo Fitness or in your business, if you start to operate like a single organization and not, a collection of disconnected teams, customers will feel that. They'll understand you're connected. And customers reward you for this. They reward you because of it. The outcomes are really clear. If you go to this, it doesn't take much to start recognizing the huge value that you'll see in business outcomes. You'll see revenue, and speed increase. You'll see loyalty improve. You'll see cost to serve absolutely drop. And these are the drivers in which customers go after. And it doesn't take a lot to move the needle. Increasing cross-sell and upsell on these, that in and of itself can be monumental for organizations. Reduce customer churn rate. Well, we all know in service businesses, you cannot afford to lose customers once you've secured them because the cost to serve and the cost to attain that first customer is too high. It's really an incredible set of outcomes that this delivers. But we've talked about all of the things, but we haven't talked about the most important thing, and that is these plans, these executions, all of this rely on people. And what I'd like to do is transition into the final pillar of today's discussion, and that is the human capital management side. Now, it's the final from a discussion standpoint. It by no means has to come in last. You can put it in first, doesn't matter. But think about it. The manufacturing teams we talked about, the supply chain, they're all building new consumer models. The technicians that we talked about doing the service and repairing equipment, they're people. The service team's handling the new types of questions on the call center. The marketing team that's finding new audiences to go after. The sales team that's shifting from selling to gym to selling to households. All these strategies work, but they're only as strong as the workforce behind it. So let's see how Oracle Fusion HCM supports the transformation here. As we look at the human capital management, this is the people side of the transformation. When we look at Supremo, and again, we're taking this in the story in the context, but you're putting it to your business. They need a workforce that moves quickly, and this engine can become that. Recruiting will connect directly, as you indicated, to demand planning. So as my demand spikes, I can understand that it's coming and I can staff for it. My learning and development applications that's built in adapts to new product lines. So as they launch new product lines, I can make sure my technical and service teams are ready to address those questions. Workforce management, plants, service teams, call centers, they all become scheduled. We schedule as if it's a science and not a guesswork because they're all connected. But ultimately, they do the one thing, and they drive outcomes. And if you haven't got this as of yet, the whole goal of the application is to drive the outcome you're looking for. Solve the challenges that are most challenging to you today. Know that you have a domino effect that will let you move forward, but we all do it based on what's the outcome going to be delivered. And when I look at this, I know there's some bullets here, but what I think about is, the administrative work, because of the automation, really starts to disappear. The time to do things like payroll, time, any of the corrections, the compliance, these are all handled internally. And with AI, they're handled at a much, much more rapid pace. The recruiting has improved dramatically because the talent teams, the people that do the hiring, they know the whole business picture and they help identify and hire better and faster. And during moments of change, and for this exercise, we put Supremo in a business of change where they're adding a new business. And HCM can become the stabilizer, as we talked about, helping prepare the teams, getting them ready. The HCM suite is a great tool in a day-to-day operation. But when you have this in place and you have moments of change, this application just becomes extraordinary. We have a customer video that I want to share with everybody that talks about the technology, but the size of this organization, its global reach, and what it does, I think is something that's really worth a listen. So, Carl, can we go ahead and talk about Securitas?
We protect places, people all around the world, 350,000 or so strong, 47 countries. We are everywhere. Technology is critical for us to support our clients because our service is people. And so helping us manage, helping to move workforce, putting the right person with the right skills, training them correctly, bringing all those intangibles to the client is what makes us successful.
The world is changing. We need to generate more data to get more insight. We want to digitize the way our officers work. We want to digitize the way the clients work. And our legacy systems were on-prem, rigid, aging, definitely couldn't do what we needed in the future. So we couldn't just change it piece by piece. That's why we landed on Oracle, because we were able to get the core HCM, the payroll we needed for North America, the core financials, the BI solution, the integration solution, the infrastructure solution. We got all that from a single provider, and that was really like 90%, of our landscape.
The game changer was, now I see everything.
In the old world, we were putting together things, and sometimes the answers took weeks to get, if not months. The expectation today is, with a fully integrated system, that those data elements are readily available to us at a push-button notice. There's points in the journey where it helps to have an ally.
We really needed a partner that was a system integrator, but also a business consultant. Deloitte has a very strong workforce management capability, and that's one of the key reasons that we decided to work with them.
The first major impact we had in this new system, we saw almost an immediate decrease in time to hire of 70%. In the past, it would take us 3 weeks to run a monthly turnover report. Now, it takes about 2 minutes.
Going live is just day one. That is getting on these platforms. The real journey begins once we're live. We have a lot of things we want to do,
which is really interesting for a 150-year-old guarding company. We joke that in this transformation that nothing changed in the past 20 plus years, and we crammed 20 years of change into 2.
This big transformation project, we called it Project Freedom. And for us, it was more than just the technical change. It was a complete change in the way we work, and the future is really unlimited for us.
Thanks, Carl. That was, when you look at Securitas and the size and the magnitude of the organization and how they were able to get to that change, they were on stage again and again since that video, highlighting how their transformation has continued to evolve. And it evolved into something like this. So this is the framework that we started with, and I want to make sure we come back to this slide. Remember, I think you said it really well up front. This unified platform is running one connected platform. EPM, it created the plan. ERP, it was the engine behind it and operationalized it. Supply chain delivered it. Customer experience delighted the customers. HCM empowered the workforce. Each piece reinforced with the other. And depending on the way you start, you get that domino decision. It unlocks a chain reaction for better, easier decisions across the next thing. Some of the things you need to know about this platform is making it valuable for you and your business. Now, I'm going to go by the numbers. This is just some background in this. So just to give you an understanding, this application, that platform that we talked about, we do about 40 million developer hours into this solution annually. With 4 updates per year, that means we're delivering about 10 million hours of development effort every quarter. So you will keep pace with change. This application is going to keep you there. The best part about those, 80% of our enhancements into this application come from our customer request. Remember I asked you to click on Customer Connect? That's where we pick up our customer requests. And of course, we have those 200 plus AI agents already there. With Oracle, you have a lot of choices, but this is one of the strengths that will keep that pace of change in line. Let's go ahead. We've talked about customers in those videos. We've talked about our capability from an enhancement perspective internally. But what we've been saying all along, let's talk about what other sources, the analyst firms, talk about related to this complete suite. In the past 12 months, in the past year, this is how many times this suite has been placed in the leadership position across each pillar. Now, this means that if you're interested, you would be in great hands taking a deeper dive into any one of these categories. And I'm sorry, I missed the EPM. That's on there, and it actually has the highest number. So I'm really but this one, each pillar is valuable if you're interested. I'm going to thank everybody for joining us. We know that you have many competing priorities for your attention, and the fact that you spend time with us, tells us you're committed to getting more from your Oracle Fusion app, or you're interested in learning more about it. The good news is you do not have to navigate this journey alone. We have several resources designed specifically to support your next steps, whether you're just getting started or you're ready to accelerate the innovation with Oracle that you're already under. So you can sign up for new courses and apps and certification via Oracle University, and the links are here. Another option, which is really a strong option, is Oracle Cloud Personal Training Programs. If you've enjoyed today's session and you want something tailored just for your organization, our Oracle Cloud Personal Training Program is a perfect next step. This one's way different than today because you'll get a hands-on learning experience. It's expert-led. It's targeted training around your team's goals and around your challenges, and not using Supremo. And then, of course, option 3 is review our short videos on each pillar linked on this page. Any of these paths are designed to help you continue your momentum started today. Oh, and by the way, I do want to remind you, please be sure to sign up for our last Day 1 and Beyond session of this year. We're going to be kicking off again next year, but that's being held on December 15th. For this Day 1 and Beyond for Cloud Security Series, it's Design a Cyber Resilient Architecture. I think, if you're interested, I'd love to have you there. But from Caro and I, we want to wish you a great holiday season and thank you for joining.